I knew I didn't have anything to hide. That's why I let him search my vehicle.
Oh my goodness. So what do we do when a cop wants to search our vehicle? How do we handle that? Cop says, "Hey, I want to search your car." You say yes. Remember, the trick only works if you have your camera rolling like this. Cop says, "Hey, can I search your car?" You've already invoked your Fifth Amendment. You already gave him your license, registration, proof of insurance. And he says, "Hey, can I search your car?" And you go, "Sure, you can search my car." As soon as he says, "Okay, cool, step out of the car," you step out. He goes to put his grubby little pig paws in there. And you go, "You know what? I revoke consent." Right here, it's on camera that I'm revoking consent. So I revoke consent. This is going to be based off the 1991 case of Florida versus Gemino, but expanded in the Third Circuit, United States versus Williams. You know the cop is going to search your car. If you give consent for the search, you can revoke consent moments later. You must be unequivocal. I gave consent on camera, and I now revoke consent on camera. The law is clear. If I can give consent, I can revoke it. Here and now, I revoke consent, stop searching my car. But you got to have the literature in your hand for this to work. You have to have it in your hand. I'll give it to you for nothing if you don't have the $8. I don't care. Just get the literature in your car. Just get the literature in your car. It matters more than you could possibly imagine. This guy allowed this guy to search his car, Zach Wester. Zach Wester is going to plant drugs in his car, impound his car, and arrest him and charge him with felonies.
I trusted the process. Well, those feelings changed a little bit when he read me the Miranda rights.
Opened up the center console, shoved down in between the front passenger seat and where the center console is at, I saw what appeared to be a syringe sticking out. Whenever I went, I looked further, pulled the seat apart. The syringe is actually in like a plastic, larger baggie with a plastic container with a substance in it that appears to be an illegal narcotic.
Zach Wester, the cop planting the drugs right now, is lying about everything. He's made up every single thing. He ran the guy's license plate, found out he had a prior drug conviction, followed him for a few miles, and then pulled him over to plant the drugs.
Do you know anything about that?
I do not. I was shocked. I had no idea what the heck he was talking about because I'm not a meth user. I don't do drugs. I've never smoked pot. I've physically never done drugs in my life.
Oh, so this guy wasn't even a recovering drug addict. Most people that he pulled over already had a prior that he got from running their license plate.
It blew my mind that he was in here questioning me about this.
You've never seen this before?
Dude, I have no idea. It's just wild. I was so surprised that it was methamphetamines of all things. It wasn't weed. It wasn't like a crack pipe. It was methamphetamines. It was a used needle.
No track marks.
Nah, dude, I don't use. I mean, you see where we're at.
Yeah, man, you gotta check. Like
we're standing here. This definitely has the appearance of illegal activity. You're swearing you know nothing about it.
It just puts me in a bad spot, man.
You know,
Puts you in a bad spot. You planted the drugs, you pig.
I thought there had to be an explanation.
Okay, I saw something here. So it's right here. Someone just wrote right here. They said right there. So Sarah, is that how you say your name? I'm not sure if you say your name like that, Sarah. So Sarah Marie said, "Why does it only work with the literature? Is it magic?" Sarah, you would have to know something about the law to be able to answer that question. So the clearly established prong, it's part of what the Supreme Court does or federal courts do to invoke qualified immunity for the cop. The reason why I show the copper that if I can give consent, I revoke consent. And the reason why I show it on camera is because if I don't show the literature and I say to the cop, I give consent, and then a moment later I revoke consent and I'm just filming and there's no literature, then when I sue the cop under a US Code 42, Section 242, Section 243, then the cop can still get qualified immunity because of the clearly established prong. The clearly established prong states that the cop must know which right of yours he's violating. If I have the literature, I show the camera the literature, I show the cop the literature, then it's plain as day he's violating my Fourth Amendment right to an unreasonable search and seizure. That's why, Sarah, you have to have the literature in your hand. It's not magic, it's the law. If the cop can say, I didn't know which right I was violating, you may still win your lawsuit. You may still beat the rap, but you won't beat the ride. You're still going to go to jail. And number two, the cop may invoke qualified immunity, and that federal judge or Supreme Court may give the cop qualified immunity because you didn't show him the literature, Sarah, because you didn't show him the literature. You would have to know something about the law to be able to answer that question properly. You can look up the clearly established prong. If the cop arrests you after you give consent and then revoke consent for search, don't you want that cop to be held liable personally for violating your Fourth Amendment? If you don't show the literature, then you won't be able to hold him accountable. Are we clear on that? I wanted to pop in there. Sarah, I get a lot of people who troll me and say things and stuff like that. So I actually enjoy intelligent questions. That was actually an intelligent question, even though it kind of came off like a troll kind of thing. I still understand what you were trying to get to.
Maybe somebody left it in my car. I don't know. I have employees. Maybe that's a possibility. But I know the people I hire. We do background checks. I simply don't have addicts working for me.
I'm not saying you're a bad person, okay?
Yeah.
You don't appear to be a user, okay?
Zach Wester is the bad person. Look at him. He has his arm on the guy's shoulder.
And if you are a user, you've not been using it long. Or you understand where I'm coming from, right?
No, Zach. You're the one lying, cheating, and stealing to ruin this man's life.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. I go to work, I come home,
Okay.
I sleep, I go back to work.
Okay.
I don't hang out, party. I don't.
The state entrusts me to be a fact finder, right?
The state entrusted you and you planted drugs on hundreds of people. You're a scumbag, jackboot thug pig, bro.
To put all the pieces to the puzzle together.
If I had $1 for every time someone told me these aren't my pants, though you have them on, and we find the drugs in them, I'd be a very wealthy man. There's that initial denial phase.
I just want you to understand where I'm coming from, man. When it's a felony, I have no discretion in the state of Florida.
He planted the felony. Zach Wester had the drugs in his pocket. Zach Wester did this to this man. He did this to hundreds of people.
For that, okay? I can't just throw that in the ditch out here and act like it never happened.
Yeah.
So you're going to go to jail today for possession of methamphetamine, for possession of drug paraphernalia.
He took me to jail.
Right.
My dad worked at the federal prison there, and I grew up around his lieutenant. My mom made the phone call to him, and she said, hey, something's wrong. Joshua just got arrested for methamphetamines possession. He went in and he signed a paper for conditional release. And he even questioned me. He grilled me pretty hard. Is there something I don't know? Are you making me look like an idiot? And I was honest with him and said no. I was treated like a criminal through the whole thing.
Little did he know at the time, he would not be the only person claiming the same thing after being pulled over by Deputy Wester.
I've got to test this. Have you ever seen this before?
No. No, what is it?
He's planting drugs on another person. He's making things up. Zach Wester was the son of a pig. His mom and dad were both pigs. He's the son of the pig. He had been burning up the records with arresting so many people and catching so many people with drugs. It was a lab technician that finally turned him in.
It did field test presumptive positive for methamphetamine. Okay? Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If I read you your rights, will you talk to me?
I talked to you, man.
Okay.
I'm just saying, man. Hey, dude,
We're going to get there. We're going to
The man's going through panic because he didn't have any drugs.
get there, okay?
These drug crimes are serious. These were possession charges of methamphetamine, which can carry years in jail. If people have other prior offenses, the penalty can be even more extreme.
Check your email, John.
Jail, you are being losing things this time, okay? Yeah, bag of that.
No, I ain't
Both y'all are going to jail, okay, for possession of methamphetamine. Y'all are both in constructive possession of it.
There's also collateral consequences. People lose their job, lose their standing in the community, custody of their children, trust of their loved ones. People who have taken a different path in life and have become sober, now people believe that they've been lying.
You didn't have any weapons or anything you was trying to hide back there?
no. This is people to see me, man.
I can get invasive. I'm going to see you on y'all's way here in just a minute if you didn't have anything.
He's lying.
That
He
was a
set
slick
him up.
move, man. Very slick
That ain't
move.
mine, man.
Go ahead and put your hands
No,
on
hell no, that ain't
Do
mine.
not
Oh,
do
that
this.
ain't mine. Okay.
He's-
All right.
He sets the guy up. He sets the guy up and then beats him up when he resists for being wrongfully arrested when he knows he didn't commit a crime. And then Zach attacks him. Wow.
That ain't mine, man. What are you doing, man?
At first glance, these stops appear to be somewhat routine and by the book.
During my career, I saw drugs hidden in numerous places. A seasoned officer is going to do their due diligence to search every inch of that vehicle. Many times people who are drug users, if they get stopped and they have the drugs, they're in that panic mode. So they're just going to slide it between the seats. They're going to try to hide it really quick. So it doesn't surprise me that some of this illegal drugs were
Check
found
your
like
email,
in the
Clayton.
crack of a seat. That doesn't really raise any suspicions to me.
Hey, what'd you find? Huh? What'd you find? Where? In that flashlight. Whenever I opened it up, there were some crystals on top. And I was like,
I walked up. It was shoved in between this back seat right here, and this back she was making a lot of movements, just saying that her knees were hurting.
You're lying. He's sitting there
But
lying.
is everything really as it appears to
No,
be?
he's planting the
Upon a
drugs.
closer review, there's something off with Wester's arrests.
There was troubling behavior that the officer exhibited, such as going back and forth between his vehicle and the recovery vehicle. Every time that this contraband was recovered,
But that's not how he got caught. He got caught by the lab technician.
there was it appeared intentional deflection of the body cam to not be looking in the direction of the recovered item. And so it looked that all of a sudden these contraband were found within this vehicle in places where if they were there originally, they, number one, could not have been seen by the naked eye of the officer, or number two, would have been known to have existed by other vehicle occupants.
You step like piece of vinyl right there? Yeah. It was shifted further over this way. Whenever I first made contact, you could see his shoulder raising. It was actually visibly moving up that piece of vinyl. When I walked up here and made contact with her, I said,
Wow.
"What you doing under
What
that
a
vinyl?"
piece of
He had
shit.
no trail roll standing right there. He was just digging under that baseball glove and then searched that immediate area for weapons. They took the baseball glove and throw the bag in the straw. You going to jail, buddy?
Going to jail. I didn't do anything. Why am I going to
Have we locked these yet?
Check your email, everybody. I just sent off 25 more emails of free stuff. Everybody check your email. I just sent off 25 emails of trifolds and posters and 5A cop cars and the ebook. I sent off everything I sell for free just now. Thank you for purchasing something. About half you guys didn't, but that's okay. I sent it to you anyway.
What is going on here exactly? Is Deputy Wester finding drugs
No,
or planting them?
he's planting.
Up next, we take a further look at these body cam videos.
There's a lot of discrepancies between the reports and the body cam footage. These body-worn cameras were either turned on late, they malfunctioned, or the video was actually deleted off of the server.
JR, check your email. JR, I just sent you a bunch of free stuff, man. Thanks for purchasing one thing. I appreciate that, man.
Look, man, you're going to go to jail today for possession of methamphetamine, okay? It was in your vehicle right there at the center console.
come on, man. Please.
I don't have much discretion with a felony charge, buddy. I don't have much discretion with that, man.
Listen to how he talks to him. I ain't got much discretion with a felony charge, buddy. Like he's his friend, like he's just being a steward of justice. The war on drugs is a war on our friends and family, and it has to come to an end. We've locked up millions of people since 1970, and it hasn't helped the war on drugs. Drugs have never been worse. Locking people away and charging them with crimes is not making America better. It's making us worse.
My mom was going to work. Oh, man. Dude, I'm serious, dude. Anything. What you want me to do, man?
Between 2016
Check your email,
and
Angelo.
2018, Jackson County, Florida Sheriff's Deputy Zachary Wester is making arrests for drug possession.
I moved the driver's seat forward. That little black container you saw me pull out, it had a crystallized substance in it.
The one that he put in the guy's car. Zach Wester planted it.
Whenever I tested that, it did return a presumptive positive for methamphetamine here in the field.
That's hers.
You are going to jail tonight for possession of methamphetamine and possession of drug paraphernalia.
Wow.
But something is strange in Wester's arrests.
The problem in Zachary Wester's case is we have a repeated pattern of Zachary Wester either turning off his camera, not turning it on, videos being deleted. That raises red flags to anybody.
Is it possible that Wester could be planting drugs on innocent people.
And remember, this guy was the son of 2 cops. His dad was a cop. His mom was a cop. He was officer of the month several times. He got more drug arrests than everybody else. He was celebrated. He was put on a pedestal.
He found it in the driver's side compartment and he watched it.
So this guy right here, his name is Jason.
Innocent people.
He found it.
So this guy right here on the right, you see him with the big chew in his mouth. This guy should have also gone to prison. He actively participated in setting up and framing people and putting them in prison. The guy on the right here. I don't know how he got off, but the model penal code should have arrested him as well.
In the driver's side compartment.
He completely participated. This pig did right here. This pig helped Zach Wester. He was the backup officer on about 10 of his arrests, where he danced and sung as they made people walk home or took their husband to the dungeon. This pig right here.
He watched receipts.
Yeah. When you watch these body cam footages, most of these searches are only being conducted by Zachary Wester. There's not a second person in the car helping him. So he's in there by himself while the second officer, the backup officer, is watching the suspect. So that does give Zachary Wester ample
Check your
opportunity
email,
and time
everybody.
to plant those drugs.
If this test, what I think it's going to test for, it's going to put me even more of a bad spot because it's a felony.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about here too.
It did test presumptive positive in the field for methamphetamine.
The how he planted it in my car is still a question that literally keeps me up at night. I still can't figure it out. I know what happened. I just don't know how.
How quickly can you get there? Because I'm being
Stephanie,
arrested for possession of narcotics.
check your
I
email,
don't want to
Stephanie.
talk about it right now.
The only explanation I've been able to come up with is he went to the back of his car. He put the bag with the syringe in his glove, carried the gloves to the car, dumped it in the passenger seat, then put the gloves on, and quote unquote started his search. Jackson County police officers, they wore short sleeves. They weren't long sleeves. He couldn't have tucked it in his shirt. He didn't reach down on his boot
He had it in the gloves.
or anything like that. I think he just carried it in his glove from the back of his patrol car into mine.
Let's take a closer look at these stops to see if Wester is the one breaking the law.
He is.
You know what that is? You don't know what that maybe appears to be?
Maybe meth or cocaine. I've never seen that in my life.
So just imagine one human being is looking at another human being and saying, I'm going to plant drugs on you and I'm going to now put you in torture cuffs and take you to a dungeon. This guy's the devil.
And the straw has some red in it, okay?
Most people will make denials, and that's why the law is pretty clear when you try to refute the existence of probable cause. A suspect's denials are not sufficient to refute probable cause.
Oh, right. Both of y'all are just going to be...
This was the one where Jason, his accomplice, so they arrest him and then they make her walk home. The girl in the blue right here. I saw this whole video, this guy's video. These two people right here, let me give you a little backlog. So the two people here, this guy and this girl, they had both been clean for over 10 years, both of them. And they had relied on one another week in, day out, week in, week out, month out, where they leaned on each other to fight the addiction urges that they had. And both of them, neither one of them broke. And so when Zach Wester planted drugs in the car, they both looked at each other with tearful eyes and said, have you been lying to me? Have you been using? And the girl looks at the husband and is like, were you lying to me, man? And the husband's like, I wasn't lying to you. And then the husband looks at the wife and is like, have you been lying to me? Have you been using and not telling me? He causes a cataclysmic fault in their relationship because they've been looking at each other, holding each other, loving each other, smoking cigarettes, chain smoking, to try to get through this addiction to methamphetamines. And they had both been clean for over a decade. So when Zach Wester planted drugs in these people's car, he rocked the foundation of trust they had in one another. They eventually figured out that they were lying. So I wanted to give you the backlog on this because this couple right here that had been clean for over a decade, they they relied on one another to be honest with each other and uphold sobriety.